Australia's quarantine authority has announced it will allow apple imports from New Zealand for the first time in 90 years.
Some Australian fruit growers say the decision will expose the local industry to the fire blight disease. Brad Fankhauser is an apple grower and he joins us on behalf of the industry body Apple and Pear Australia. Welcome to the program.
Hi.
What do you make of this ruling?
The industry's pretty gutted by this. We would have liked to have hoped the federal government had some tougher quarantine protocols, namely removal of exclusion of blocks that carry fire blight or European canker to ensure that we don't get those diseases in Australia.
So you're not satisfied with all the precautions, the spraying of these apples?
No, far from satisfied. They're pretty lame attempts to... a visual inspection and a high-pressure watch is nowhere near good enough to ensure we don't get fire blight in the country.
So what's the worst-case scenario for the local industry here?
If we were to have fire blight established, we'd lose our pear industry in the Goulburn Valley and possibly up to 40 or 50% of our Australian growers, apple growers, I mean. It would be devastating in those communities.
What's the chances of fire blight, though, coming into Australia? They're relatively small.
It is a relatively small chance it will come in, but the significance, if it does come in, is extremely high. And as a grower, I don't think it is quite that small. I think there is a very high likelihood that it will come in within future years.
No, you've fought the good fight, but this is it. There's nowhere else you can go to appeal against this decision.
No, the next step is to go to the consumers and ensure that they buy Australian apples, not imported ones.
And how successful do you think that'll be at a time when we're hearing New Zealand apples are going to be coming here in large numbers and coming at much cheaper prices?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a furphy. I don't think they will be much cheaper prices. We saw last year with apples from China. They certainly weren't much cheaper at the retail end than what Australian apples were. And the quality was definitely questionable.
Well, all you have to do, though, is look around the fruit and veggie bins at supermarkets and there's fruit and vegetables from all sorts of places, and there hasn't been a problem with apples from China.
No, but if you go to the supermarkets and the fruit and veggies aren't labelled quite correctly with their country of origin labelling, so people are getting a little confused as to what they're actually buying. So our next step is to try and promote Australian apples using an Aussie apple sticker. But
those overseas products, though, do have to meet strict quarantine standards, and there hasn't been an issue with them up until now.
No, that's correct. There hasn't been an issue.
Or before now.
But our quarantine standards have now lowered. We've, in a sense, asked New Zealand growers to sign it off to say that they haven't got fire blight. We're not inspecting their orchards. We're not inspecting their packing lines. And we find that as a complete disgrace.
At the same time, though apples are exported, Australian apples are exported to many countries overseas, the industry can be accused of some hypocrisy here, can't they?
No, we export under extremely tight quarantine conditions. We have to manage Queensland fruit fly. We're treated like we have the pest, even though we often don't in Victoria. We have to show that we manage conditions for it, and we don't have it.
So you welcome apple imports?
We do. Trade's not an issue. We're quite happy to trade and compete. We believe our orchards in Australia are as competitive and as good as anywhere in the world. So
you've effectively lost this fight. What now for the industry?
Well, like I say, we're trying to focus our attention on the consumers, make sure they buy our Australian apples. We launched an Aussie apple logo. It's a small sticker that goes on each apple. We're trying to label or get as many apples as possible labelled with the Aussie apple sticker. And when consumers go to the retail store or the greengrocer, demand from the produce manager that they're Australian apples.
We've had a couple of tweets to the show this morning from, I assume, Kiwis saying if you taste a New Zealand apple, you won't go back. They're the best in the world. So will consumers be potentially swayed by these magnificent fruit heading our way?
No, that is a fair. There's a stated fact that Australian apples do have higher sugar contents than almost any other country in the world. We have the best sunshine, the most sunshine, and our apples do get sweeter than anywhere else. That is a fact.
Brad Fankhauser, thanks so much for coming in this morning.
All right, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.